Chapter 3. Rambashi and his pirates managed to get the bloody murderer to the other bank of the river, but Lila had to fish another oar out of the river when one of them had dropped it, and promised to sit still and not joggle the boat. When they hit the bank, everyone fell off their seats. "All right," said Rambashi, picking himself up. "Tie the boat to a good bit of a tree or something, and take the prisoner ashore." "Are we going to eat her?" said one of the pirates, "'cause I'm hungry." "Yes, we have had nothing to eat for days," grumbled another. "You promised we'd have a hot meal every evening." "That's enough of that," said Rambashi. "You're a pack of scurvy dogs. Take the prisoner up to the cave and stop complaining." Lila wasn't sure she could run away just yet. Some of the other pirates did look fierce enough to run after her. Though now she looked more closely, she saw the daggers was made out of wood, wrapped in silver paper, so they wouldn't be able to do her much damage. "I hope you don't mind this little transaction," Rambashi said, as they walked along a jungle trail. "It's purely business." "Have you kidnapped me then?" asked Lila. "I'm afraid so. You're going to have to hand over all your money in a minute, and then we'll tie you up and hold you to ransom." "Have you done it before?" "Oh, yes," he said. "Lots of times." "What happens when you don't get money?" "Well, we eat you," said the hungry pirate. said Rambashi, waving his hand vaguely. "You're not cannibals," said Lila. "We're bloomin' hungry," said the pirate. "Have you always been pirates?" "No," said Rambashi. "I used to keep hens, but they all died of melancholy. So I sold the business and bought the boat." "Oh no, stop, don't move." The last pirates in the line, still grumbling, bumped into those in front, who stood behind Rambashi, transfixed with fear. For there on the path ahead of them was a tiger. It swung its tail lazily from side to side and raised its golden eyes at them, and then opened its mouth and roared so loudly that Lila thought that every earth was shaking. One of the smallest pirates put his hand in hers. So there they stood, and the tiger was just gathering its strength to spring, while Lila suddenly remembered her self-igniting Crackle-Dragons. She took her hand back from the small pirate, reached into her bag, took up 3 she brought with her. "Mind," she said to Rambashi, and pulling the string of the first one, she threw the firework in front of the tiger. The mighty beast has never been so surprised in its life. First one, then another, then yet another. Crackle-Dragon snapped and flashed and sparked and leaped at him. And that was too much. With a whimper, the tiger turned and fled. The pirates cheered. "Magnificent!" cried Rambashi. "Congratulations!" "I was about to stab him to death, of course, but never mind." Lila wondered how he would have done that with his silver paper-covered knife, but she didn't say anything. "And of course," Rambashi went on, "this changes everything. We can't keep you hostage now that you've just saved our lives. You'll have to be our guest instead. Stay with us overnight, why don't you?" "We've got no food," said someone. "What are we going to eat?" "We'll send Chang out to catch some fish," said Rambashi cheerfully, shaking his head at the protesters' remorse. No. Fish is good for you. Go on, Chang. Don't just stand there." "I can't," said Chang. "Look!" They looked back at the riverbank. The bloody murderer was drifting away, with the painter drifting in the water. "Who tied it up?" said Rambashi. One of the pirates looked down and tried to rub a hole in the ground with his big toe. Said Rambashi. "Fine pirates you are. I hope you're ashamed, but never mind, I've got a better idea." "Miss," he said to Lila, rubbing his hands, There was a bright gleam in his eye. "Can I interest you in a little investment?" "Well," Lila said, "I ought to be getting on." "No, really, this is a much better idea than piracy," Rambashi said. "It came to me in a flash, just as I saw the boat floating away. I can't be cross with those fellas. They're like children, really. Yes, all my best ideas come in a flash. And this one's a cocker. Can't fail." "Is there any food in it?" said a pirate sourly. "My dear boy, it's built on food. Just wait till you hear. I say, miss, just a little money, the safest investment you'll ever make." But Lila had walked away, and as she went along the path, she could hear his voice behind her. "No, listen, boys. I know where we went wrong last time. I saw it in a flash. But this is an idea that'll suit your talents down to the ground. Look, let me draw you a picture." Lila would have liked to know what Rambashi's next plan was, but she was eager to hurry on. Mount Merapi was smoking and rumbling in the distance. She felt her heart lift when she saw it again, so powerful and dominating, and she thought, "I belong to that mountain, and it belongs to me." And on she went, with no other thoughts in her mind but that, and excitement putting a spring in her step. Meanwhile, Chulak was getting ready to smuggle Hamlet out of his new home. The master had gone to bed early, groaning, but the slaves were still awake, and Chulak had to distract them. "Now listen," he said to them in the kitchen. "You know how you got to do all you can do to please the great white elephant, or else the king will be cross?" They all nodded. "Well, the elephant's a bit restless. He never sleeps well the first night in a new place. So we'll have to play a game of elephant's footsteps to cheer him up. You have to go and hide your eyes in the garden. And when you think you can hear him coming, turn around. He likes playing that. Go on, go wait in the garden. I'll tell him when you're ready." The slaves all streamed out of the back door, and as soon as they were hiding in the garden with their eyes shut, Chulak unlocked the front door and led Hamlet out to the gate. "It's a good thing they put down that carpet I ordered," he whispered. "You don't half make a row on the gravel." "Can we go past the zoo?" Hamlet whispered. "No, of course not. Never mind, Frangipani. It's Lila we've got to think about, and stop breathing so heavily." They tiptoed out of the gate and found Lao Chand waiting there with a tarpaulin, just as Chulak had asked for. "What's it for?" Lao Chand whispered. "For this," said Chulak, and made Hamlet kneel down to have it laid over his back, so he doesn't show up so much in the dark. "Huh," mumbled Hamlet. "It's hot and scratchy, and it smells like marquee. Couldn't you find a nice blanket?" "I don't think you realize your size," Chulak said. "Do be careful," said Lao Chand. "I ought to come with you. It's not a safe journey at all. Oh, I should have told Lila everything from the start. I should have trusted her. What a foolish old man I am." "Yes," said Chulak. "Still, never mind. We'll find her. Come on, Hamlet." And they set off. Lao Chand stood watching them for a minute, until they disappeared in the dark streets. But someone was watching Lao Chand. One of the slaves who'd come to play Elephant's Footsteps was hiding under a bush nearby, and as soon as he realized what he'd seen, he began to tremble. Helping the white elephant to escape was a terrible crime. There'd be a terrible punishment, and there might be a great reward for that person who pointed out the criminal. So, when Lal Chand began to trudge homewards, the slaves silently followed him to find out who he was and where he lived.